welcome back to playing TriPeaks with my deck collection. We've got a pretty nice assortment of decks here tonight. We've got some licensed decks, Avatar: The Last Airbender, and Toy Story. We've also got some more standard decks. We've got two more of the Let's Play Bridge decks. We've got a waterproof deck, a Hoyle Waterproof deck, and we've got the State Farm deck, which is kind of funny. Anyways, let's get into the game and take a look at these decks. Let's start with my favorite deck of tonight's selection, the Avatar: The Last Airbender deck from Aquarius. I love Avatar: The Last Airbender. I didn't watch it when it originally aired. I was a little too old for Nickelodeon at that point, but I ended up watching it later once it got on Netflix, and it quickly became one of my favorite animated shows of all time, and just one of my favorite shows, period. It's got amazing characters with well-written dialogue, super cool fight scenes, and an amazing, immersive fantasy world. The deck is split into the 4 elements. Each suit is an element. We've got the clubs as air, and the face cards and the aces feature Aang. The spades are earth and feature Toph. The diamonds are fire and feature Zuko. And the hearts are water and feature Katara. Since it's a 4-color deck, it does not work for every Solitaire game. But there are plenty of great Solitaire games you can play with 4-color decks. I actually just did a video recently on the Solitaire game Penguin, which is an amazing Solitaire game that can be played with any deck, including a 4-color deck. And of course, we're playing TriPeaks right now, which can also be played with any deck. So, we've got Zuko, another Zuko, we've got Toph, Aang, another Zuko, and another Toph. And let's see what our first card is. It is an 8. So it looks like we don't really have many options with this 8. We'll just take the 7. Another 8. That's too bad. We've got an ace now. Now that we can work with, we can do king, queen, jack, 10, jack, queen, king. I think that looks good. So, king, queen, jack, 10, and then jack, queen, and king. And we're stuck here, so we draw again. We've got a 6. I just realized that I never explained how to play, but it is pretty simple. All you have to do is take any card that is 1 less or 1 more than the card on top of the discard pile, and you can move it to the discard pile. And you just keep doing that until you run out of moves, and then you draw a new card. And if you manage to clear off the entire board, you win. If you run out of cards in the stock and you still haven't cleared the board, then you lose. So we can go 5, 4, or we can go 5, 6, 7. We'll do that. So we'll go 5, reveal these 2 cards. And now we can do 6. And now instead of going up to 7, we got this 5. So now we can do 5 and 4. Okay, now we've got 3 7s, which can be kind of tough. We have a 6, so we can take one of the 7s. Let's take this one. We've got an 8. And we can choose between 9 and 10 or one of the 7s. It's tempting to go for the 7 because there's 2 of them on the field, but I think I am just going to do the 9 and then the 10. We reveal a lot of cards that way, and look at that. We get another 9, which we can now take, and another 10. Alright. We draw again. Nothing we can do with that 4. And an 8. Let's take this 7. And a king, we can take this ace. A 5, let's take the 4. And let's go 3 and 2. And 3. And 4. It's looking pretty good for the Avatar deck. Only 4 cards left. 5, 2, 2, queen, we can take the jack, and the 10, we just have to clear these last 2 cards. 9, jack, ace, 9, 3, okay, we got the 7, the 6, and this last card is a queen. We need a jack or a king. Ace, king, we got it. So our first game with the Avatar, the last Airbender deck, is a win. We only had 2 cards left in the stock, so it was pretty close. Just an amazing deck. Let's get some more of these face cards out so you can see them again. This is a really nice deck. However, I will give it a little bit of criticism. Let's see if you can see it on any of these cards. They do kind of wear easily at the edges. Let's see if I can get an example here. You can see on these 2 cards, the bottom edges have some wear. And I haven't even had this deck for that long, so as cool as the art on the front is, the black on the back is prone to wear. So just keep that in mind if you decide you want to give this deck a shot. It isn't perfect, but it is really nice. Next, we've got the Let's Play Bridge deck in blue. This is the 3rd of a set of 6 decks that we'll be covering in this series. We covered the last 2 in the previous video. We'll be covering 2 more in this video. And then we'll be covering the last 2 in the next video. These decks are pretty standard, but they have a really nice back design. The floral pattern. All of the Let's Play Bridge decks have the same floral pattern on the back, but they have different colors, and I quite like this pattern in the blue. And the face designs are pretty nice as well. Pretty standard, but still look pretty good in this style. And the aces are flowers, which is cool. So I believe the last 2 Let's Play Bridge decks both one more quick shuffle, and then get into the game. Alright. Our second deck of the night. Pretty decent spread. A lot of potential chains. We start with a king. So we can do queen jack or queen king. Let's do queen jack. And another jack. That doesn't help. And a queen. We can take this king. We reveal 2 new cards. So we can do 4, 5, 4, 3, or 4, 3, 4, 5. I guess it doesn't matter. Well, there's more 3s, so let's actually do 4, 3, 4, and then 3. 10. Let's do 9, 8, 7, 8, 7, 6, 5. Oh, can this be a 4? We're so lucky. 4, 3, and 2, and ace. That was really, really nice. Okay. Now a 2, can't do anything with that, and another ace. A 10, we can do 9 or jack queen. There are 2 9s. We get 2 cards if we do jack queen, but there are 2 9s on the field. I'm just gonna I'm gonna do the jack queen. That seems to be like the standard move, I guess. Just doing the move that gets more cards. We get this 2. And a king, a queen, a 4, a 6, a 9. This is pretty bad. We're drawing a lot of cards and have nothing to do, but that was perfect. And that connects to that. And there we go. We get the 9 and 10. And what is this? It's a 5. We need a 6 or a 4. Will we get one? We only have a few cards left. The last card. Nope. We lose with just 1 card remaining on the tableau. So that is a loss for the blue Let's Play Bridge deck. Let's do the other licensed deck. We've got the Lotso deck from Toy Story. Lotso is, I believe, from Toy Story 3. I have seen that movie, but it's been quite a long time. But what I really like about this deck is that it comes in a tin. I love decks that come in a tin. And I actually haven't opened this one yet. I have 2 of these, and I have played with the other one, but this is the unopened one. This was my brother got this from a yard sale. He went to a yard sale and the person there had like 8 of these and was selling them for 25 cents a piece. So he bought me a couple of them. And it's a pretty nice deck, I think. Very cute. Although I think if I remember correctly, I think Lotso was a bad guy in the movie. But he looks pretty cute and harmless here. I don't remember much of the plot of that movie, though. I'm guessing he became good by the end. And this is also a very nice feeling deck. It's got a little bit of a bend to it, which is always kind of annoying when a card comes pre-bent, but it's not too bad. Alright, let's play our next game. These cards have a very nice feel to them. They feel very high quality. Alright, and our first card is a 5. We can go 4, 3, or 6, 7. 6, 7, 6. Let's do that. 6, 7, 6, 7. There we go. I was hoping for that. 6. And 5, 4. And we can either go 5 or 3. Let's go 3. An ace, so we can go king, queen, jack, 10. That jack is awesome to pull because now we can go back up. Jack, queen, no king to bridge this gap, but that's okay. A 7, can't use that. There's the king, so we can take the ace and the 2 and the ace. We get an 8, we can go 7, 6, 5, 4, and now we can either take the 5 or the 3. I think it's better to take the 5 because I think we've seen more 5s. 8, queen, let's take the jack and the queen, and we got a king too. Looking pretty good. Look how much we still have in this stock right here. Pretty good chance of winning, I think. Ace, 9, 9, 2. Now we can get the 3 and the 4. Now all we need is a queen or a 10. Uh-oh. No way. There we go. Okay, that got a little scary. And here are our last 2 remaining cards. It was 2 more 10s. So all our 10s were hiding at the very end. So that was the Lotso Toy Story deck. A pretty nice deck. good feel. Nice, cute art. Now, here's a 180. We go from Toy Story to State Farm. This is a pretty standard bridge size deck. I believe it's a Hoyle. Yes, it is a Hoyle deck. And the front designs are pretty standard. Basically a run-of-the-mill Hoyle deck, but with this art on the back. Which is a pretty nice picture. Unfortunately, I don't have all these cards oriented the same way. So if you're like me and that kind of bothers you, I'm sorry. But I'm not going to take the time to go through the entire deck and sort all the cards this time. We're just going to play with it like this. Alright. Game number 4. It is a little awkward to have the card art be horizontal like that, because obviously when you actually play with the cards, you're going to have them vertically oriented. So the art just ends up being sideways. A bit of a strange design there. And our first card is a 10. And we can take a jack, and that's it. 3, let's go. 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8, 7, and we can go down to 6 or up to 8. Let's do the 8 because it's covering more cards. And we got another 7, how lucky. Now we can take the 6 too. Let's continue, another 6, a 9, a 10, we can take this jack, a 7, a 3, let's take this 2, another 2, and a 3, or an ace, I mean. Now let's go. Ace, 2, 3, oh nice, 4, 5, and 6. Pretty good showing for the State Farm deck so far. We can take that 9, Queen, let's go, Jack, Queen, is this an ace? Nope, and King. Jack, and we can take the 10, and ace, let's take the king. 2, very nice, we can take the 3, and then the 2. And we just need 2 6s or 2 4s or a 6 and a 4. There's a 4, we'll take this one. Now all we need is another 4 or a 6. Uh-oh. Oh no. Wow, the last card. That was a nail biter. Alright, so that was the State Farm deck barely squeaking out a win. The very last card. let's continue with a very standard deck, one of the most standard decks you can find, but we had to get to this one eventually. It is the Bicycle Standard Red deck. Pretty much the most basic deck that you can find. Are there any other cards in here? No. Okay. It's a simple design, and they feel pretty nice to use, so they are a classic for a reason. Alright, game number 5 with the Bicycle Standard Red deck. And our first card is a 2. So we can go Ace King, or we can go Ace 2, 3. Let's do that. Ace 2 and 3. Another 2, can't do anything with that. Another King, can't do anything with that. And we can go 7, 6, 5. Let's do that. Can we get a 4? No, but we get a 6, which is also pretty good, because now we can go back up to 7 again. Our next card is a 10. Let's go 10, 9. 10, 9, 8. And that's it. Jack. Ace. Nice, and Ace is very good. It's very tempting to go Ace 2, 3, 4, but the fact that we have 3 kings on the field is very concerning. Let's take one of the kings. Hopefully I don't regret that move. And now we can go, see, we had another way out for this one. 2, 3, and 4. Another 4, a 5, let's take this 4, a 6, an 8, we'll take the 9. A lot of face cards on the field right now. We got a 10, we'll do queen, jack, and then queen, and then king, and then queen, and we'll go to the king, because it's covering more cards. An ace, a queen, we'll take the jack. An 8, let's take the 9, the 8, and we pulled a 7 as well. Nice. Just a couple cards left, and we get rid of 1. Our last card is a 10. We need a 9 or a jack to win. And there's a jack, and we win our 5th game. These were our remaining cards, the Ace of Spades and the 10 of Clubs. We pull out a win with a classic deck. Now we've got a pretty cool one. This is the Hoyle Waterproof deck. These are clear plastic playing cards made out of the same sort of plastic material that pool toys are made out of. So if you know that sort of plasticky, rubbery feel, That's what these feel like. Pretty strange material to make cards out of, but probably good for playing out by the pool or on the beach. These are pretty interesting because they're clear, so you can see through them, which is kind of interesting. Again, these are all mixed up, and I'm too lazy to go through all of them and put them right side up. These cards also have a very interesting sound to them, as well as an interesting feel when you're shuffling them. I think they actually glide a lot better than other sort of plastic playing cards. And I also think they have a bit of a less harsh sound. Sometimes plastic playing cards have a bit of a harsh sound to them, but these don't really have that to me. And one last shuffle. Let's play game number 6 with the plastic waterproof playing cards. I said I wasn't going to bother putting these right side up, but I can't help it. These cards have kind of an interesting typeface as well. Almost like I wouldn't say Comic Sans, but like that sort of less serious looking font. And our first card is a 4. So let's go 5 and 4. Lots of face cards on the field. We'll take this 4. A 5, can't do anything with that. A 8, we can take this 7. A 9, a queen. Let's take the jack, the queen. We got a nice little chain here. The king, the ace, the king, the queen, the jack. Some cards I forgot to flip. And look at this. 10, 9, 10, 9, and 10. And jack. Pretty nice chain. And there we go. We can take the ace or the king. The 2 or the king. Let's take the 2 because we get more cards out of it. Next is a 10. A 5, we can take the 6. And the 7. Queen, let's take the king. 9. 3, we'll take the 2. 8, we can take the 7. We can get ace 2, 3 whenever we get something in that range. A 6, another 6, a 7, a 6. Oh no, there we go. Well, that was not the ideal one that we would have gotten, but we can still do 2. And I think I'm going to take the ace because I think we've seen a lot of kings already. So I'm going to take the ace rather than... that was the bad choice because we could have 3 cards remaining on the field. And that is a loss for the Hoyle Waterproof deck. Let's do the next Let's Play Bridge deck. This is 4 out of 6. The orange Let's Play Bridge deck. I quite like this color on the back. Kind of looks like sunflowers. By the way, what's crazy is that we still aren't even that far in this series. And I don't mean that as a brag about like, oh, I have so many decks. I mean that like, I have a problem. I buy too many decks. I need to stop buying decks. I'm trying to stop myself from buying any more new decks until I get through this series. Alright. Game number 7. What we'll probably do is that I'll start buying decks again once I finish this series, and then every time I get 8 new decks, we'll just do a new episode of this. And so this series will always be up to date with all of the decks that I have. I think it'll be good just to have them all there, because that way if anyone is curious about my collection and which decks I own in my collection, I can just point them to this playlist and they can see all of my decks. Not just see them, but see them in action. So I think that'll be nice. Our first card is a 9. Let's go. 10. Jack. Queen. We've got a 7. We can do 6. 5 and 6. Another 5. Can't do anything with that. We got a 9, so we can do 8 and 9, and that 10 is nice. Let's do 10. Another 8. An ace. That's good. We can do king. Oh. We can't get all these cards, unfortunately, but we can do. Let's do 2 and 3. I think that gets us the most cards. Ooh, we get it. Oh, perfect. That 2 was exactly what we needed. So now we can get the ace. Oh, and that jack. Queen. And the 10. Jack, can we get a 9 here? No. That would have been amazing. 4. 2. King. Ace. Ace. Uh-oh. A lot of cards we can't use. 4. 4. 6. Okay, let's do 7. 6. 7. 8. Another 8. 8, 10. Let's take the jack and the queen. King. 9. I think this one is not going to happen. We can take this 3. We reveal another 3. And I think we just don't have enough of cards left. We can take the 3, 5, and Jack, and we are left with 2 cards remaining, 5 and 7. Both of the Let's Play bridge decks not managing to get wins tonight. I think this might actually be the most losses we've had in a single night. And finally, a deck that is not super flashy, but is still one of my favorites, the Bicycle Verbena deck. I have used this in a video before. I think it's a fantastic deck. Great back design and simple but effective face design. And I don't know what I played with this deck before, but apparently I won because it's in order. This is one of my favorite decks to use if I just want to play with something that's not too fancy, but very, I guess, classy, for lack of a better term. It's very stylish, but in a subdued way. And we'll do one more. I love this back design and the color scheme. Again, very subdued color scheme, not particularly flashy, but easy on the eyes. Kind of reminds me of chocolate. It's hard to tell on the camera, I think, but what's really cool about these face cards is that the black is not totally black. It's actually very slightly brown. I'll put it up, maybe you can tell if I put it right up to the camera, but it's very, very subtle. But I really like it. So we start with a 3. Let's take 4. And 5. A Jack. We can take 10, 9, 8, 7, 8, and 9. Can we get a 10? No. Queen. Let's take the Jack. King, let's take ace, 2, 3, oh, perfect, 4, 3, oh, 2, oh, we can do ace or 3, let's see what this is, 8, let's just take the 3, 5, Jack, 7, we can take 8, and 9. These cards just won't stop sliding around. Oh, look at that. 6, let's take the 5, and perfect, we get a 6 and the other 5. King, we'll take ace, king, queen, Jack, 10, and all we need is a we win the final game of tonight with the bicycle Verbena deck. I love this color scheme. That's it for our decks tonight. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it relaxing. If you like watching solitaire card games, we play them very often on this channel, so consider subscribing. We also play the tabletop RPG 4 Against Darkness, as well as occasionally other tabletop games, and we're doing a playthrough of the computer game Myst. And as always, I just want to say thank you to everyone who leaves comments and likes on my video. I really appreciate it. Every time I look at my dashboard and there's a new comment, I always get excited. So thank you all so much. You make this worth it. But for now, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great night and sleep well. Bye.